Welcome back to the O Show, everything crypto every day. Today, we are going to do a 10-minute spotlight interview with Owen from DOGIRA. How are you doing today, Owen?
I'm doing great, Wendy. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on. I really wish the audience could have heard our conversation prior to filming, but we may touch on some of that stuff because you are in fact a real crypto OG. You've been in the space for a long time. And I'm excited to talk with you and find out more about DOGIRA, more about yourself, and share with the audience. So are you familiar with 10-minute spotlight?
I'm not actually. I did a quick watch through a couple of your videos, so I roughly know what's ahead of me. So yeah,
Okay.
A-okay, ready to go.
Okay, so you have 10 minutes to answer all my questions. And once the timer stops, you have to stop talking and you don't get to win anything.
Yeah, that sounds great, which is extremely difficult for me, as if you ever listen to me on any of our AMAs, I tend to answer a 1-minute question with a 20-minute diatribe. So I will try
I'll
really
stop
hard.
you. I've got a pomegranate right here. I'll throw it at them. I'm just kidding. Okay, are you ready to get started here, sir?
Yeah, let's go for
Okay.
it.
10 minutes on the clock. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Owen.
Yeah, so as you said, I was one of the original crypto developers back in the space. It was the first developer, a core developer on Dogecoin after Billy and Jackson were working on it. I worked at themselves to implement Digibyte's gravity well algorithm to mitigate against the multi-pool abuse, which was happening way back in the day. Long story, we'll keep it out of the 10-minute one. But from there, then I stepped out of crypto for a while, had to get back into real life, had to get my degree, get into the industry, work in the real world, etc. Earlier this year, I found an old hard drive which had a Dogecoin wallet on it. So I grabbed that and decided to take a look back into crypto. Crypto had evolved over the last couple of years, which I kept an eye on quite a bit, and smart contracts were what I absolutely loved. It gave real meaning and use to crypto, that we can actually do something now apart from use electricity. So I found a couple of community projects back when everything was kicking off. DOGIRA was the one that I felt I was the most attached to, loved the community on there. And from speaking with the two previous leads on the project then, I basically wanted to build something around a Dogecoin style community, but have use case and utility on it. And as I'd worked in games development in industry and as an independent developer in the past, that's where I wanted to take Dogecoin, or DOGIRA rather, to. So yeah, I wanted to go towards native blockchain gaming, and I wanted to also spend a heavy amount of time with NFTs as well. Just two technologies I think are going to define the next decade in crypto.
I agree with you a lot, actually, when it comes to NFTs, because I remember I got into crypto into 2017. There was Crypto Kitties, and there was a couple other random NFT projects, but it was nothing like it was today. And I love to get people come on to talk about NFTs and gaming, et cetera, because they just complement each other so beautifully. But before we started recording, you mentioned that you had released games prior outside of crypto. Can you kind of talk to us about that? And then we're going to jump into DOGIRA.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was working in industry, I worked with a company called Limbic over in Germany, moved over there to work for around about a year. Unfortunately, publisher problems, as happens with a lot of indie studios, but we released a really kick-ass game while I was over there. It's called Zombie Gunship Survival. And I believe if you've got a lot of gamers watching in on this, they probably have played the original Zombie Gunship. I think it was the first 3D engine like iPhone game back in the day, which ran well and wasn't kind of, blasting you with ads, that kind of stuff. So worked with them, originally came on as a back-end engineer, and it became more full stack towards the end of my time in there. Following that then, after the studio was shut down, I had to come home, get back into boring enterprise world, boring, stable enterprise world. I made a short game in my spare time. It was just based around the prisoner's dilemma, which is you put a pile of money on a table, you put two people there, they decide if they split or they steal it. If they both try to steal, they get nothing. If they both split, then they both get the share down the middle of it. And if one steals and one shares, then the person who steals gets the whole lot. So just put that into a small online game, put it up on Congregate, got decent reviews on there and a little bit of a following. Did a small few updates on it while working a full-time job and released it on Steam, and it did extremely well. Kind of mind-blowingly well for what it was. So that brought in about 150,000 downloads on it and got streamed by XQC, Forza, and Lyric, a couple of the bigger players on Twitch.
So you know exactly what you're doing then. You're not just here. You're not just grifting. You know what you're doing. But talk to us like how you took that experience from releasing games prior to DOGIRA. Like talk to us all about that, because I looked at the website. The graphics are beautiful. It's very bright and vibrant. And I just want to hear more about that.
Yeah, so on the graphics side of it, we have an artist, Mary. She's listed down on the page. She's incredibly talented. And she had a look through a couple of the 3D renders that I had done, and she saw that I always lean really heavily on that kind of outrun style whenever I'm doing anything. So she built it all around that and put in obviously the DOGIRA-chan character. And that actually defined a lot of what we're kind of looking to move towards in gaming. When I came onto it originally, it was kind of, more looking at what can we do? Do we just kind of go down a straight NFT route on it and just make, your simple collectibles and stuff like that? We had a look at other projects in the space, eventually becoming stuff like, Axie Infinity, Crypto Blades, etc. And see, my main thing on it is that there's a lot of games that are coming out which are claiming that, it's blockchain native and stuff like that. But what it actually is a lot closer to the type of blockchain we would have used way back in the day, that everything is on a central server. And when you try to cash out, then it suddenly goes, okay, well, you have, 10 million coins. So I'm just going to transfer you 10 million coins, which would work really well if it wasn't for the fact that decentralization is really what's saving cryptocurrency at the moment. You can't have coins stolen from you when they're in your wallet and you're just interacting with a smart contract. Well, tricksters can often find a way to make you click something wrong.
I was just going to say that. I was just, because go ahead.
But logic wise in the code, if you can read the code, which I know that's not something that you can expect everybody to be able to do, but there is an inherent level of safety that can be offered when you're doing this kind of stuff. And there's also a level of, how do we put it, verifiability. It's so if you look at, say, Chainlink, we're partnering with Chainlink Labs to provide VRF, which is how we're able to get our random number generation for any of the games we make. And every game needs a random number generator. Otherwise, it's not really a game. Maybe story games, but anything else you want to have a random number generator. So let's take the age-old example of if we were playing a game of poker online, and I keep getting good cards, but you keep getting crap cards. We have no way to prove that it's actually fair. You just say, like, I trust the company that is, running this game, and I'm trusting that they are giving us the same fair numbers. There is absolutely no provable way for you to ever tell that you got a fair number, unless you go to the company and watch the machine that's actually doing it and rip it apart. On Chainlink, we can give verifiable random numbers that that everything was fair. So if you're opening a loot box and you get something crap out of it, then you can at least say, like, well, I had a fair shot at the odds that were on it, and it was all visible. All the game logic is visible on it. Yes, you may need to be a developer to do that, to actually read it and verify it is all fair. But if a large game comes out, you're going to have developers that will peer through it and make sure that you are being honest to your word with it. And that's a lot of what on blockchain gaming is for me. I mean, there's all the fascinating stuff around building economies that allow you to actually own what you have in game. I mean, so one of the things we touched on in our white paper was that there's always been a gray market and a black market for buying gold in gaming, stuff like that. I mean, gold farming is one of the kind of oldest professions going back in, gray market gaming. I have always had this very strong opinion that you would get rid of that market with simple regulation. If players are actually allowed to do that themselves and they're allowed to, trade things for other tokens or for real money for all the world, you will cut the people that are doing this, by undercutting you out of the game entirely. And isn't that really fair and right? If you're playing a game, let's say World of Warcraft, for 1,000 hours and you grind out, you get lucky and you grind out a really rare mount, is it not in your right to have ownership of that and trade it to somebody else anyway? Right. So that is an argument I've always held, that we're playing this game of whack-a-mole all the time with people who are running essentially a gray market or a black market. And we can stop it by simply saying, no, the players own it anyway. So if you want to do that, you want to make a living out of running a gold farm, yeah, sure, you can bring the prices down while you're at it. You can make it fair and more accessible for everyone. And as I suppose a very American saying is, the fair market will decide what that is actually worth. And I absolutely love that when it comes to game economics in a virtual world. that people who are playing the game, and if they're playing it for 40, 80 hours a week and they're enriching the experience of everybody that they're playing with, or they're causing enough drama to make it interesting, do they not deserve to be able to make some sort of living off that? And I love that level of economics we can add into it. But most importantly, you still make a good game. Don't just make a game where it's, plain and simple, insert tokens, get back more tokens, stuff like that. We have staking farms already, and there's a couple of games I've seen that are just that with a little extra layer on top of it. And I think when we actually start building games that are suited to the blockchain, and games that are games in their own right, but have blockchain connectivity in the background, nearly as something that, you don't even need to know it's there. It's just a game by itself. That's when we start moving into real crypto economics and gaming, where the average person doesn't even need to know that there's crypto involved in it. It's just blockchain technology has enhanced it and made it a better game.
Is that why you guys are utilizing Polygon as a bridge for the ERC20 network, because of the crazy fees, even though we're supposed to be burning ETH, is supposed to be deflationary now, but kind of not?
Yeah, well, some days it is nearly deflationary, but the problem is it's making the supply even more rare, and it's going to put the cost up even more, which is great for Ethereum's, I suppose, overall economics. But if you tried to build a game on the Ethereum network, you're looking at, so if you wanted to have native on the blockchain where you're interacting with a contract every time you're essentially moving in a game, or submitting any command, like buying a health potion or drinking one, etc., you'd be paying gas every single time. And additionally, if you're on Ethereum,
that was the timer.
Oh, that was, yeah.
No, you explained a lot of really great stuff, and you really touched on the importance of DOGIRA's role when it comes to blockchain gaming. And I think it's really, really important that we kind of distinguish what those roles are, especially for those that are interested in participating, or those are maybe on the fence of participating. But I have one more, kind of two questions before we go.
Sure.
Is a game hard to play? Do you guys because I know that some crypto projects, I know that some like blockchain gaming or NFT gaming projects, what they do is they allow more established players to essentially rent out the skins or rent out cards, so that people that maybe don't have the capital, because I know it's expensive to play Axie Infinity, but they might not have the capital, they're actually able to still participate in the game. Is that something that you guys offer too?
So when I look at an issue like that, there's a lot of kind of economic solutions to it. One of them would be, renting and stuff like that, which I kind of like the idea of, that if somebody's high level enough and they want to get a little bit of passive income, that's brilliant. But I think there always needs to be an accessible level, because there will also be people who could not afford to rent things like that as well. They just want to be able to jump in. So I think you need to kind of pay attention to your game design and make sure that you're not letting people shut the door after themselves after they get to a certain level. It has to remain accessible for all people.
Do you guys have affordable options for folks that are interested?
Right now, we don't have anything done out in the economics of that, but in what we're designing, we are looking into how we can ensure that it remains kind of even across the board, that even if you're coming in and you've only got enough tokens to kind of get into the game, then you could still play and enjoy the game. That's always been an important part of game design for me, especially having worked on mobile games in the past, which would be very, we can simply say pay to win heavy, a lot of microtransactions, and it's never fun when you just gatekeep that level of stuff.
I agree. What can we expect? Is there any special announcements that the audience could look forward to?
So we are going to be announcing a new partner. I'm quite certain that a lot of your audience might have already heard about them. They've grown extremely quickly over on the Binance Smart Chain and also support Polygon. So really looking forward to bringing them on board. We have our staking pools that are kicking off as well. We have one already running, and I believe we have another one going live today. Our native farms then will be coming in a couple of weeks. On the gaming side of it, we're hoping that we're going to have some stuff to show off there really soon. We just have to tie up on our bridge over between Polygon and Ethereum, get the farms up, and from there on, we're going to be looking at full-on gaming and NFTs, which we can't wait to show off.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. And audience, if you guys are interested in learning more about DOGIRA and you want to play when it's up and ready, all the links will be down below. Again, Owen, thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.